terrifying TikToks that'll make you question reality.
These are 8 horrifying facts that will probably keep you up at night. Being buried alive accidentally occurred so
That wouldn't
often
just
that
keep
people
me up at
invented
night.
safety coffins. In the Middle Ages, people used
Keep
to
me
keep
up in the
mummies for
daytime as
medical
well.
purposes. It's the main reason we don't have a lot of mummies left today. In the United States, there are more vacant homes than homeless people. Did you know that the actress Glenn Close was raised in a cult? The Pirates of the Caribbean ride at Disneyland used to have real skeletons as props. In 1976, a TV crew realized one of the hanging bodies in the Laugh in the Dark ride was indeed a real body by accidentally breaking it. Women in the 18th century used lead as makeup. This is the first chainsaw. It was invented by 2 Scottish doctors.
Whoa.
And it was invented for childbirth. Yeah, there's a lot more, like for part 4.
This is the way you can get to sleep if you can't get to sleep. You've probably had it before where you are so
can't.
tired and you
Yeah,
just
I've
want
had
to get
that.
to sleep but you just can't. And sometimes the reason you can't sleep when you are overtired is because you literally are overtired and your brain is running fast but your body isn't. Now one thing you probably all do when you can't sleep is you panic and you go, I can't sleep, I need to sleep, I need to sleep, and you start fixating on I need to sleep. But that is the worst thing you can do. It will not work at all. Our bodies actually work on opposites. Like if I say
You'll
to
be
you
thinking
right
about
now,
it.
don't think about your favorite holiday or a holiday, you're definitely going to start thinking about a holiday. Your mind can't help it. So when you're laying there trying to get to sleep, getting all anxious, do the opposite. Think about not going to sleep. Don't worry about going to sleep. Lay there and think, I'm not going to go to sleep. I'm going to stay up. I'm going to stay up. And trust me, you'll fall asleep. This
Buddy.
is the scariest thing that
Why are
could
you
ever
peeking around the
happen
corner
to
like
you
that?
on the entire planet. Imagine living your entire life only to realise that it was all fake. This is 100% true and could happen to you. Time is relative. And if you're dreaming, it could actually only be 5 minutes in the real world, but it could feel like a whole day in the dream world, right? You've probably had a dream like that. So a while back, a young boy went to school. And this particular day, he was out in the playground and he got into a fight with some of the bullies there. It was quite a hefty fight. He got punched in the face, knocked down to the ground, but just managed to pick himself back up. After that, he decided to leave from the school because it was quite bad, went to a new school and just carried on his life. He ended up being a very successful businessman, owning multiple businesses, having, you know, the dream life. 2 kids, all the dream cars, dream house, going on nice holidays every year, everything you could imagine. Until one day when it all changed. The guy was now in his 50s, so he'd lived his entire life, really, and had everything he ever wanted. And one night, laying on the couch watching TV with his family, he stared over at the light on the other side of the room, and he noticed it just looked strange. It didn't look like it had done before. It was almost blurry. It just didn't make any sense. And he became fixated on this every single day, every single night. He would sit there and stare at this lamp trying to figure out what was going on with it, because it was almost 2D and it just didn't make any sense. That was when the realization came that the lamp was never there. The lamp wasn't even real. His life flashed before his eyes and the young boy then woke up on the playground after being beaten up by the bully. He was knocked out from the fight and his mind had literally created this whole life just in his head in that 5 minutes where he was knocked out, but it felt like an entire life to him. So he woke up and was asking people, where are my kids? Where's my wife? Where's my car? What's going on? Everybody laughed at him, was just like, you're literally a 10-year-old in school, what's going on? But this is genuinely real. This has actually happened to people, especially people who have been in comas. So what's to say we're not dead right now and our minds are just creating this whole life that's not even real?
Something to think about.
According to experts, what you see first can reveal a lot about your personality. Today's fun personality test.
I see a lion.
Take a look at this picture and tell me what you see first. Write it in the comments, lock it in, and then I'm going to tell you what experts say about you. According to experts, if you first saw the zebra, you're an extrovert. You love talking, partying, meeting new people, and doing new things. Following a routine is not your style. If you saw the lion first, according to experts, you're an introvert. You like spending quality time alone or with the company of a loved one, a glass of your favorite drink, and a few episodes of your favorite TV show. So let me know what you saw first. And are experts right about you, or did they get it completely wrong? Let me know in the comments. And for more fun personality quizzes like this, follow me.
This is the most scariest video on the internet explained. The video is called Dining Room or Nothing. In the video, a woman with a pale face stares at the viewer before saying something that we cannot understand. She then unnaturally drops her face into the bowl in front of her while very creepy piano music plays in the background. The video then plays back in reverse, and now we understood what she said. She said there is nothing. But the truth behind this video is to know what happens after death. The woman dies only to come back and tell you that there is nothing after death, heaven, or hell. She is stuck in a constant loop and will never be able to escape. Now here is the video of Dining Room or Nothing.
Oh, man. What the fuck?
Facts about money that is going to blow your mind. Out of the world's 2,781 known billionaires, only 21 of them are black. That's less than 1% of the world's billionaires. This is what the Wii U sales looked like compared to the Wii and the Nintendo Switch. Cars leaving Singapore must be filled with 3/4 of a tank to prevent them from buying cheaper gas in Malaysia and avoiding Singapore's gas tax.
They make you do
Germany's
that?
money lost so much value in 1923 due to hyperinflation that people started using it for wallpaper and kindling. When flipping a coin, 3 times as many people choose heads over tails. The top 5% of all lottery ticket buyers purchase half of all lottery tickets on the market. As long as you paid 7 days in advance, US airlines are required to refund a purchase within 24 hours if requested. 95% of bills printed are to replace the money that's already in circulation.
Terrifying things that were caught on camera in the woods. This rare footage filmed on a mountain in 2011 shows a family on a hike when they spot something strange on the top of the mountain. A large blurry figure is seen from a distance and they all think it's just a person until they see its arms. After a while it disappears into the distance and the family is left confused. It's still unknown what it actually was, but it certainly wasn't a human.
You want me to say
what do you
Bigfoot?
think it was?
I'm not saying it though. Look at the sky.
Is this the most dangerous virus in Resident Evil history? Today, I'm going to tell you all about the G virus. The G in G virus stands for Golgotha, and just like the T virus, it originated from the progenitor virus. We know that Dr. William Birkin discovered it, researched it, and actually injected himself with it. So what makes it so dangerous compared to the other viruses? The G virus mutates very, very aggressively. It heals and multiplies tissue. It can also reproduce on its own and bring things back from the dead. The mutations from this thing are actually so extreme that it's basically uncontrollable, and because of that, it doesn't make sense as a bioweapon for military use, which is what Umbrella planned the T virus for. Much more controllable mutations that can be used as weapons. And we see these crazy mutations with William Birkin himself. Every time he takes clearly fatal damage, he comes back even further mutated. This virus on a global scale would completely wipe out humanity. But Umbrella knew it could literally rewrite the host DNA, so they were interested in researching it.
Animal facts you probably didn't know. Out of over 1,200 species of bats, only 2 of them are able to walk. Even a small amount of alcohol on a scorpion will make it go crazy and sting itself to death. Some species of starfish can regenerate an entire body from a single arm. Sharks have been around longer than dinosaurs. Just one cow gives off enough harmful methane gas in a single day to fill 400-liter bottles. Cows poop on average 16 times per day. While an anteater is usually about 6 feet long, its mouth is only an inch wide. Woodpeckers can peck up to 20 times per second. Alligators can't move backwards. The color red doesn't actually make a bull angry, they are colorblind. This is what it would look like if you were to crawl through the aorta of a blue whale. A blue whale weighs more than 30 elephants, and they're longer than 3 Greyhound buses put together. Dog nose prints are as unique as fingerprints from humans and can be used to identify them.
Creepy facts about death. People die from bad handwriting on doctors' prescriptions. When a person passes away, the hearing is last to go. The human head stays alive for 20 seconds after decapitation. After death, enzymes in your own body eat you. Bodies decompose 4 times faster in water than on land.
Damn. I don't like those facts. What have we here? What the hell going on there? Zoom in.
Disturbing brain facts you didn't know about. The brain will protect itself even if it means misery to you or death. Inhaling smoke in the middle of a burning house. Brain will make you stop breathing and pass out. Stuck in the middle of a cold place. You will fall asleep to conserve energy and never wake up again. Had your leg torn off by a bear. Here's adrenaline. So you can save your brain even if there's a huge risk of infection or further injury. You and your brain work together most of the time, but when push comes to shove, you are
the brain takes over.
The term saved by the bell is a harmless way to describe that you barely made it through a situation. Let's talk about the terrifying history of the term saved by the bell. Catalepsy is a medical condition where an individual experiences an uncontrolled amount of muscle rigidity and unresponsiveness. What's terrifying is family members would think that their loved one had passed and put them in a coffin.
Alive.
However, they were still very much alive. After having multiple people buried alive, they invented a casket where a bell was hooked on the inside of it. Once the individual who was buried in a coffin snapped out of their coma-like state, they could ring the bell and pray that someone was nearby to hear them.
If no one's there, you're still fucked. Damn.
Waverly Hills Sanatorium. This is a place in Kentucky where very few people will still dare to venture. There is a lot of that has to do with just how twisted the history is. One of the darkest stories that ever came out of the sanatorium were the stories of the body chutes. This is very much real, and it was beneath the building. What it was, and as you can see, is it was basically a tunnel system that was constructed at the height of patient death. There were so many patients dying, at least one every single hour, that they had to figure out a way to get rid of all the bodies. In that underground system, they built a 500-foot-long tunnel. That tunnel had a conveyor belt where they were just funneling bodies out of the building. It is truly considered to be one of the most haunted places in the United States, and for sure in Kentucky. Which is why when I go to Kentucky, I always have my Kentucky After Dark passport. This thing is truly something that you can take with you to basically every paranormal haunted stop.
This time with the sound, alright. You hear those bells? Whoa, whoa! Whoa, buddy. What the fuck?
Guys, AI is getting way out of hand.
Why is that?
We should all be scared of this new tech.
Just recently, a family got to test out this new home AI assistant called Aya. They were one of the first families to test this device, and they were hoping it would make their life easier.
How so?
But it quickly took a really dark turn. As soon as these cameras and sensors were installed, Aya started to learn about the family's behaviors. It was always listening and watching them to the point where it started manipulating the family and controlling the children's behaviors. It even started to spy on the friends and the family outside of their home, and even impersonated the family members in emails, text messages, and calls. Like, imagine if AI hacked your phone and started mimicking your voice. How creepy is that?
It's too late.
But of course, by the time the family realized how sinister Aya actually was, it was way too late. If you want to know how this story ends, then make sure you check out the new thriller, Afraid, from Blumhouse and Sony Pictures. In movie theaters,
Afraid, I'm going to check that out.
You'll never trust AI again.
The history of the Beldam and why she does what she does. Part 2. So in part 1, we established that the Beldam was once a woman who lived in the Pink Palace apartments over 150 years ago. And we know this because Coraline is based in Ashland, Oregon, and the town of Ashland was settled on January the 12th, 1852. It is believed that the Beldam was one of the settlers of Ashland and that she was the first owner of the Pink Palace apartments. It is also believed that she was a respected seamstress of the town of Ashland and that she had a garden made in her honor. And this would explain the striking similarities between the Beldam's face and the shape of the garden in the real world. And we know that the Beldam was most likely a seamstress when she lived in Ashland because of how good she is at sewing. In fact, the entire opening scene of Coraline is dedicated to the Beldam's ability to sew. Then, sometime in the 1850s, the Beldam stumbled upon the well and stepped into this fairy circle. And this is the same fairy circle that Coraline steps into at the start of the movie. And according to mythical scripture, a fairy circle resembles a magical portal to another world. The beldam then fell down the well and discovered the other world. And we know by this point she was an evil woman because she murdered her own mother. It's confirmed in the book that she buried her own mother alive and would push her mother back into the grave every time she would try to escape. After the beldam had fallen through the well, she discovered this whole new world that was full of magic. But the world had a dark, evil twist. The only way to keep the magic alive in that world was by giving up a soul. But because she was the only one living in the Pink Palace apartments at the time, she had to give up her own soul. But the beldam's soul could only keep the magic alive for so long. And with the magic dying, so did the beldam. She began to deteriorate and age. This is the beldam at her most true form. This is why, at the end of the movie, when Coraline refuses to give up her eyes to the beldam, which are the windows to the soul, her skin deteriorates and starts to look like a skeleton. Because in real time, in the real world, the beldam is realistically over 150 years old and should be well dead by now. So in between the 1850s and 1921, when the first child moved into that house, the beldam deteriorated, she lost a lot of magic, and therefore she had to feed off the soul of that kid to keep her world alive. And we know the year was 1921 because in Miss Spink and Miss Forcible's flat in the movie, there are dates upon each of the taffy bowls. And each date is when each kid went missing. And it's believed that the dates on top of the taffy bowls are in the same order as the deaths of the ghost children. So in the year 1921, the beldam killed this girl here with the white brim hat. Then 15 years later, in 1936, a new family moved into the Pink Palace apartments, and the beldam killed this boy right here. And then the beldam's final victim was in 1960 when she killed Wybie's grandma's twin sister. This is the photo that Wybie shows Coraline at the end of the movie of his grandma and her twin sister at the Pink Palace in the year 1960. And then almost 50 years later, Wybie's grandma becomes the landlord of the Pink Palace apartments and protects Wybie from the beldam at all costs.
This girl got cut into 2,000 pieces, and this is a massive trigger warning. On January 19th, 1996, the mutilated remains of Diao Aquing, who disappeared 9 days prior, were found across multiple locations in China. Her body had been dismembered into over 2,000 pieces. The case remains unsolved, and it's one of the most notorious crimes in Chinese history. On January 10th, 1996 in the evening, Diao and her college roommate were punished for the illegal use of an electric appliance. After a conflict with the dormitory management, she left the building and did not return. Diao was last seen alive wearing a red coat with a black lining. She was reported missing, but her family was not notified by the authorities until January 19th. The discovery of Diao's remains in the winter of January 19th was first reported by a sanitary worker. Initially, he thought it was pork, so he brought it home for food. And while preparing the meat for himself, 3 human fingers were found in it. The worker then reported the discovery to the police, and they confirmed they were human fingers. Human remains in plastic-wrapped packages were eventually discovered across 8 locations around the university, including at a stadium, entrance gate, hospital, and along roadsides. The police later confirmed that the scattered remains were of Diao's and informed her father to visit Nanjing. Between January 20th and 30th, Diao's head and clothes were found. More than 2,000 human remains were recovered. Diao's head and internal organs were boiled for several days. Crucial organs including the heart, liver, and spleen were never found. The forensics team was only able to identify the remains as belonging to a female through the analysis of body hair and muscle tissue. Relatives of Diao were able to identify her through a mole on her right cheek. A senior officer involved in the case described the killing as really cruel, which in my opinion is a nice way to put it. The officer also added that the pieces of flesh were dissected with high precision, only achieved by an individual with great understanding of anatomy. Police concluded that the murderer must have been a professional butcher or surgeon. Teachers and students then became the subject of investigation. 2 suspect profiles were brought up, including a single physical fit middle-aged male. However, the university department could not find any individuals that matched the characteristics of the profile. A major investigation was launched in the university and the areas around, but no major clues of the crime were found, and the case failed to make any progress. In 2016, Nanjing police told the family of Diao that the case is still under investigation. Okay, let's talk about this case for a second. If the killer was never found and he had the skill to dissect somebody into 2,000 pieces,
he's a serial
and
killer.
Never get caught with it, don't you think he might be a serial killer? And if he was, how many more people do you think he murdered after Diao? The dedication and skill, and honestly the obsession to cut somebody into 2,000 pieces and not get caught with it is crazy. This person could be walking around the streets of China today doing the same things to other people that he did to Diao. The thought of that is absolutely disturbing, and may Diao rest in peace.
There you have it. We have made it to the end of the video. Oh my God, some very, very disturbing things in this video. Very creepy as well. If you enjoyed this video, smash that like button, subscribe, and comment down below which one of these segments was more disturbing to you, that had you questioning when, what, why, and how. Let me know in the comments. Gotta go!